Okay, we're given a problem here. It's certainly a tricky problem. I'm not saying it's not, and certainly if you didn't see what to do, it might be difficult. So anyway, it goes on to say that x is some real number. It says it satisfies this equation. The first intuition students have would be to solve this then. And you solve for x. All right? That's the first intuition people would have. But then you start to realize that over here, you got another additional problem. Even if you solve for x, you'd have to raise that to the 16th power. Now, certainly if x were an easy number, which it's not an easy number, the reason for that is you need the quadratic form to solve that, that raising that irrational number to the 16th power is going to be too much work, all right? So what I want to see us do is taking a different path, which is a typical of problems like this, not to take what you think is the obvious path, but a typical path, all right? I'm going to say a typical path is not solving for x, it's looking for a relationship. So the first thing I did was I took the equation, and I want to put this equation over here. And I did something where I started to realize I need to get bigger and bigger powers from it. So what I did over here was I tried to rewrite it in a form where squaring it would be easy for me. So let me put this down for you. And what I did was I wrote x squared plus 1 is equal to 3x. And then I divided both sides by x. And what do you get? You get x plus 1 over x equals 3. All right. Now, I hope you realize that x is not equal to 0. That's an obvious thing just looking at the equation. I square both sides now. And what's interesting about when you square both sides, what do you get? Well, let's write this down. You would get x squared plus, well, let's see, you would get 2 times x times 1 over x plus 1 over x squared is equal to 9. All right, well, what's interesting about this over here, I get, x squared plus 1 over x squared, and I want to point this out to you. This over here, x is not 0, is 2, and I take that from both sides, and you get 7. And then I repeat. I square again, and I put that down for you. And what do you get there? You get x4 plus 2 times x squared times 1 over x squared plus 1 over x4. That equals 49. All right, let's keep moving. And what I notice now is it's really just x4 plus 1 over x4. I want to point out that this, this again here is just the number 2. And I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And what would you get? You get 47. What I'm going to do now, again, I am going to square both sides. I'm getting bigger and bigger powers. What do you get over here? x8 plus 2 times x4 times 1 over x4 plus 1 over x8 equals 47 squared. Well, let me do that for you. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 4 is 32. Let's see, 7 times 4 is 28. 4 times 4 is 16, 17, 18. 9, that's a 10. You get a 12. You get 2209. What do you get now? x8. I want to remind you again, this is just a number 2. Sorry about that. This is just a number 2 because, again, x is not 0. So you get x8 plus 1 over x8 equals 2207. All right? Now, I realize what some students are going to say now. What are you going to do, square it again? Not really, and I'll tell you why. I want to get rid of the fraction, and I want to get 16th power. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by x to the 8th. And what do you get? You would get x to the 16th power plus 1 equals 2207 x8. What I'm going to do now, subtract the 2207 x8 from both sides. I think that was my goal. I want to go back and tell you what the goal is. The goal is to find out what k is. And I got it in the form. I got the x16 minus k x to the 8th plus 1. So what's k going to be? Well, by inspection now, the k is equal to 2,207. Right? All work is written down, and we do have the final answer for you, which is going to be 2207. Let me show you where that's written. You know what? I think I made a mistake over here, and I have to correct it. I wrote down minus 2207. That's not true. The K is actually 2207. So I'll correct this over here. I need to correct that. I also did Sage, and I want to point out, one thing about Sage is just to, work through the problem and see what happens. And what I did was, I did what, the first intuition to do would be to solve the equation. I shouldn't say solve, but write the equation down, both equations down, and then solve the equation for both x and k. And if you do this over here, write this code in over here, you're going to get the same answer. What's that going to be? K would turn out to be 2,207. Thank you for paying attention.